I solved an ongoing historical mystery yesterday, and I probably answered a viewer question at the same time. The question was, has anybody ever made a gullwing bow? One of these things, you see there's two of them sitting in my form, and I didn't bend them on that form. I just figured I'll clamp them on there. I'll just clamp them on there. Just, I don't know. Might as well, while I'm waiting, preparing the sinew and sinew backing. I'll just clamp them there. Make sure that the shapes that I heated into them and forced stay. But getting back to the mystery, has anybody ever made a reverse gullwing? Basically a reflex deflex ball where the handle comes back at you and then you've got these nice sweeping recurves. And I saw one in a museum. So, yeah, there was one where it was a gullwing that was created backwards. Reflex deflex ball. The mystery in lies, why did somebody do that? Well, after I heat shaped one of these, nice shape. It's like, wow, this is a nice shaped ball. I was looking at the belly and I saw where somebody had worked it to one growth ring. See where I'm going with this? I walked in the house with a bucket on my head, told my wife, literally, I put the bucket on my head and said, I'm a moron. And she goes, she guessed it. What'd you do? Did you bend your bow backwards? And I'm like, yeah. It shouldn't cause any issues whatsoever. It should actually be pretty good because the back, which is supposed to be the belly, has multiple violations and growth rings. But I'm going to have a couple layers of sinew on there and one in the handle, so ain't nothing but a thing. And then the belly will actually have been worked down to one growth ring. And I could have said I did that on purpose, but I didn't. It was a total accident. I mark my bows to center, the line going across, sides and back in pencil, draw X's. That X means that's a center. And when I took it off the grill using charcoal and pushed it down there, I was looking at the wrong darn line with the X. I was looking at the back. Boom. Right off the bat. Better believe the second one I did, there's two bows clamped in here. Nice gullwings, nice shapes. Lined up. All the propeller twists and stuff. Lined up, I mean tips through the handle. They're straight on this. All nice and flat. Twists are gone. I wrote belly on the belly, so I knew which side to push down on. Yeah, it shouldn't cause any problem, but I wonder if that fellow that made that one that was in the museum that was a reverse gullwing put a birch bark bucket on his head and walked into the lodge and said to his wife, I'm a moron, whatever language he spoke. Lakota. I think it was a Lakota bow. Next up, working on this recurve flat bow. And then I was thinking, man, that's the last Osage gullwing I'm going to make in a while. The investment in time, aside from, I shot both bows. They were tillered before I put the bends in them. So I strung them up and I was shooting them just as D bows, right? This short one, I'm going to fiddle around with what I'm going to make. This is not going to be a gullwing. I say now, but I might change my mind. It's going to be just basically, and I'm going to put a little deflex in the tips. They work. They work as D bows. They'll work as gullwings. But you wonder, as I was wondering, after I did it backwards, it's like, at first I thought I screwed it up. It's not. It'll be a fine bow. Second, I took this bow that I was shooting and having fun with, and I goofed it up by the heat shaping, which really isn't that necessary. It's, in effect, is kind of a style thing. With a short bow, if it gets some string follow, it's still going to be a bow. In fact, some of the bows were like that. I don't know. I want to make some self-bow longbows out of elm, so that's that. There was a fellow in England that was talking about a little Galwing bow. This might be it. We shall see. Another fella asked me in a comment, how much for a recurve bow? Which is an open question. It depends. If it's a flat bow made from a nice clean stave, this one's going to take a long time to work down to a growth ring and turn into a bow, just because of the ginks and the knot and the way the back is. It's not flat. It's not a nice round surface. It's all sorts of roller coastery and crevices and stuff, so it's going to take a while. But yeah, the question would be, if you're an Osage recurved long bow with a narrow deep handle, it's going to be a lot of money to make that. First of all, it takes a big piece of Osage, which is expensive. You know, if I find a clean stave and maybe it's not made in Osage, you know, half as much. But definitely it sounds kind of crass, but, you know, if you would ask me how much it would cost to make a long bow that's recurved out of Osage, and other bow makers would back me up, you're talking, you know, especially if it's sinew back, because there's more sinew in a 64-inch Osage recurved longbow, you're talking about $1,000. You know, I'm not going to sell myself short in that. But yeah, if you're talking an Osage bow in any elk, you're looking at a sizable investment. What else? I don't know. I need to wake up. Since they switched my hours from 8 to, it's supposed to be noon winter hours, to 6 o'clock in the morning to 10, you know, like, well, here's a piece of Osage for a long bow. Make that someday, soon. Oh, tired in the morning, but the nice thing is I get out at 10, which is like, it's almost like not having a work week. Start out at 10, or you leave at 10, yeah. You have the whole day. Yeah, I'm going to continue waking up. I'll finish my coffee. Just, I don't know. Should I download this? It's kind of a sleepy, dopey video. Yep. There be the bows. Have a good one. Thank you for watching.